All right, it is 7 o'clock, and I will call this meeting to order. The meeting of the Board of Education for Public School District Pewaukee, Monday, September 22nd. I will start by taking roll call. Mary?
Here.
Travis?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Matt?
Here.
Ashley? Here. And myself. Thank you. Was the meeting properly noticed?
The meeting was properly noticed.
Thank you, Mike. Next, we have adoption of agenda, and I'm going to look to make a change tonight. I do know that we have some individuals here that want to give citizen comments, and currently as the agenda stands, it would make you wait through a bunch of the meeting to be able to give your comments. So what I'm proposing is that we change the agenda to reflect that as soon as we're done with the Pledge of Allegiance, we will then go into citizens' comments. And if I can get a motion from the board to proceed with that change?
Yes, I will move to amend the agenda such that the citizen comments will move to right just before or after the Pledge of Allegiance. And then potentially also the Spotlight of Learning is canceled for tonight too? Yes.
Yes, because our foreign exchange students were not able to make it.
That's moved. Now we need a second.
Yes.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Also, could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as
I
it's
will
been
move to adopt the
changed?
agenda as amended as we go forward tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oppose.
If we can all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So now, per our change in agenda, we will go straight to citizens' comments. Tammy, do we have any citizens' comments? Yes, we do. Okay.
Remind them of the rules. It's like 3 minutes.
So, as I call your name, you can come up to the microphone, and you have 3 minutes to state what you'd like the board to hear. And we'll ask you to just be mindful of that 3-minute rule. And I'm first going to call up Catherine. Hi.
Hi. Can I just start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Hi, Catherine.
perfect. Hi, I'm Kate. As you can probably tell, I just came from my tennis match, so I'm sorry about that.
How'd it go?
Good.
Excuse me,
I
point of
won.
order. Could we have the proper introduction of the parent, student? I don't know what this is. Kate is not an identifier.
Kate, could you give your first and last
Thank you.
name,
Yeah,
please,
thank
and
Oh,
your grade or where you
Catherine
live?
Booth.
Okay.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 12th grade.
Awesome.
You look very old. Thank you.
Proceed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I just want to come here and talk today about the personal device policies that you guys are going to be voting on. I totally approve of and accept the having no phones during instructional period. I think that's a very reasonable expectation for all of our students, and it's been rolling out effectively at the beginning of the school year. However, I believe that having restrictions on phones for the entirety of the school day is unrealistic, especially in the future educational and professional environments we're going to be entering. Like for me, I'm a senior, I'm going to be going to college next year, and I know that I need to have the self-restraint to know when it is appropriate time to use my phone and when it is appropriate to put it away. Having my phone out in class is not respectful to the professor, my fellow classmates, or myself, and it'll take away from how I learn. However, having it during passing periods, in between classes, or at lunch helps me communicate effectively. As a student today, we have different responsibilities. If I have my boss text me, if my coach sends something in Sports U, I need to be able to see that and communicate timely and in an efficient manner, and email and the communication we have available to us as students without our phones isn't suffice for that. So I just want to say that as a student body, I feel like everyone is like okay with having no phones during class periods. That's totally fine, but I feel like it would be a large restriction to not have them for the entirety of the school day.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
you. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Next is Mia Tellis.
Hello, my name is Mia Tellis, and I'm a junior. And so, I'm sorry, I don't really have anything prepared. I kind of just showed up here, but I think that like, by itself is saying something about, like, what this, I guess, personal tech policy thing really means to, like, me. And then also, like, the other students that showed up here, like, I'm in 7 AP classes. Like, I could be doing homework right now. I could be doing so many other things, but instead, like, I'm spending my time here. And like, not that that's bad, but sorry. But okay. So when I first heard about like the phone policy and this phone ban, I was like, at first I like, honestly, I liked the phone policy during, like Kate said, during instructional period. I think that like to not have the desire to check your phone because you literally can't really help students stay on task and stay focused in the classroom. But honestly, what really upset me was the no AirPods. And because I know for like in all of my classes, I know that teachers have instructional videos that they play, and I understand that it could be like, oh, you can just plug in your wired AirPods, but sometimes it's like it's not the same. And oh my god, I'm sorry. Like I just really wanted to like say that I don't think that AirPods are that much of an issue in class if you don't have your phone, because then you can't pull out your phone and listen to, and you're not like checking your phone and listening to music, you're plugging into your computer. So honestly, I don't really see the point in banning AirPods. And then also I am in AP Studio Art, and in AP Studio Art, one of the components of the AP class and the AP portfolio that you have to submit at the end of the year involves taking, they're called progress pictures of our artwork. And with these progress pictures, it's very hard to take them if I don't have my phone with me. And I know that in class it's there's not like a device ready available, and I know that you can take it on your Chromebook, but our Chromebooks don't have the quality necessary to take these AP level pictures for our portfolios. So I guess maybe, and if you ban phones altogether, then I won't even have access to that technology on campus in order to use my phone. So I agree with keeping the phone in school during the instructional period, but I just would like to maybe, I guess, make it easier for the teachers that need these phones in class, like when there's an instructional purpose, to, I guess, provide students with the opportunity to use them. So that is all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Regan? I don't know if I pronounced that
You
right.
did pronounce it right, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. My name is Regan Dea, and I'm a senior. Right now, under the current restriction at the high school, personal communication devices are not allowed during class time, but are allowed during passing periods and lunch. The possible ban that we're proposing would lack the healthy, fair, and responsible compromise that the restriction is currently providing. First, I want to acknowledge Mr. Dux for visiting the high school last week during the lunch hour. Numerous students acknowledged and appreciated that you took the time to see what it is actually like, not just by reading or hearing secondhand reports from others. What you saw during that lunch period is the reality for us each day. There's students sitting together, talking, listening to music. Yes, there are students on their phone, but they're using them to connect, organize their life, or decompress. That is not unreasonable or harmful. That's the normal day in the life of a responsible high school student who's balancing the countless hours of academics, sports, jobs, activities. Another guiding resource that the Pewaukee is known for is the graduate profile, opening the door to each child's future. The profile is meant to ensure that we're future ready, helping them possess the skills that are necessary to succeed in their own future, which is where we're all headed in just a few years. Allowing us the responsibility for our actions during passing and lunch is what we hope is a reasonable ask. It allows us to prepare for the real world, managing a variety of tasks while still holding ourselves accountable. A large argument is that we can just use our Chromebooks for communication. However, it's just not as realistic. A large portion of teachers don't let us have our Chromebooks out unless it's specifically for their instruction. I'm a captain on the swim team, and one of my responsibilities as a captain is taking workout sets or items necessary for practice when my coach won't be at practice, say once a week. I don't want there to be any gray area in regards to phones or my smartwatch, so I turn off my notifications from 7:20 to 2:45 to eliminate kind of that gray area that it possesses. Last week after third hour during the passing period, I checked my phone for any notifications, as I usually will in between class to manage these activities, and I had missed several notifications from both messages and Student Square from my coach asking to pick up items for practice. Had the ban been in place, I would have missed the messages and left for practice without getting these items that are necessary for us to complete our set during the day. Again, phones are a valuable resource for communication, even if it is during that day. With the restriction, phones are banned during class, and rightfully so. There's no place for them during academic instruction. However, allowing access during breaks supports responsibility, especially for our own future, and allows for that effective communication. The current policy is already striking a healthy balance, so please don't turn it into something more extreme and restrictive, which forces students to then break the rules in order to navigate those responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nicole?
Hi, Nicole Haug, parent. I'm here to talk about the personal communication device policy. Many people see cell phones in schools as nothing but distractions. They worry about texting, social media, and games. But banning phones entirely is not the solution. Phones are powerful tools that support learning, safety, mental health, communication, and responsibility. If we ban them entirely, we are not preparing our children for the future. Phones are critical for communication. Passing periods and lunch are the only natural breaks in the day when students can check in with parents or guardians. That's when students coordinate rides, update families about schedules, or quickly respond to important messages. Taking away phones during those times cut off healthy communication between families. For families like mine where health concerns are involved, the ability to reach a child right away is not a luxury. It's essential. They are a lifeline. Second, phones can support mental health. High school can be stressful, and those short breaks in the day are when students often use mental health or anxiety apps to calm themselves, listen to music, or recharge before heading back into the classroom. Allowing phones at lunch and during passing doesn't hurt learning. It helps students return to class more focused and ready to learn. But it goes deeper than that. Last year during a lockdown, my daughter's teacher was panicking, and she started to panic too. Not because she had her phone. Because she had her phone, she was able to contact me. I was able to calm her down, reassure her that she was safe, and help her manage the situation until it was over. Without that lifeline, she could have had a severe panic attack in the middle of a crisis with no one to help her. That's not just about convenience. That's about safety and mental health in the most serious sense. Finally, banning phones during breaks sends the wrong message. Lunch and passing time are when students should have some independence and responsibility. Trusting students to use their phones during these times is part of helping them learn balance. If we over-restrict, we don't teach responsibility. We create frustration. The smart choice is not a complete ban, but a balanced policy. Let's teach students how to use them wisely. That's real preparation for the future.
Thank you very much, Nicole. While you've got the opportunity, is there anyone else that would like to give citizen comments? I just want to say thank you. I know it's not easy to come stand up in front of a mic on camera and in front of the board and speak, but I appreciate that each one of you took your right to speak up and that you came here tonight. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Just a note, just so you guys are aware, the board gets to, if you're following the agenda, we do have a robotics presentation. There was a spotlight on learning that is not going to happen because our students couldn't be here. And then there's just after the consent agenda is when the board will be talking about this topic that you guys spoke on. So if you want to be here for that conversation, it'll probably be 2025.
They're aware that there was a survey done.
Right, and the survey stuff's
Yes.
gonna get presented at that point, so, but it'll probably be about 20 minutes, where it'll be in the multi-purpose room with robotics, so if you wanna stick around for that, I just want you to understand when that's gonna be addressed. So,
Thank you, Mike. All right, next we go to salutes and recognitions. Does anyone on the board have a salute tonight? Well, I'm gonna make one. I wanna give a salute to Anna and Maura. You see, we have student board reps, and a lot of times I think maybe our student body or people in general don't understand what their role is. But actually, when they took the initiative to do this survey, they actually did what they're supposed to do, which is to be a voice for the students in the high school. And so I just want to salute the two of you and say thank you, because I know that took a lot of work, a lot of effort, and that you took the initiative to try and help your fellow students be heard. So I salute you, and I just want to say thank you.
I'll double that, though.
Anyone else on the board have any salutes? I'll move on to admin.
salutes? We do not have any today. John? Well, I do wanna wish happy birthday to
Yes.
John Gann here. It's his
Yes.
birthday today, and what better way to celebrate your birthday than
At a
coming
board
to-
meeting.
than at a board meeting. That's the
Yes.
best way. I'd like to recognize our PLE administration, Brian Siegel, Beth Ingersoll. Sometimes we talk about making the difficult, not always popular decision. There was an incident last week that raised a safety concern with student dismissal. And so they made some changes which create a little bit more inconvenience for some parents that want to pick up their students. I get that, and that's something that we're working hard to make it work as efficiently as possible, but they were very decisive. Their communication was excellent. They used their safety team and continued to evaluate to make that process as efficient as possible, and I just want to commend them both for responding decisively to a concern about student safety.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. The next we'll move on to consent agenda.
Robotics is listed before.
Oh, that's right, robotics. Okay, if you'll excuse us, we're gonna go do that demo.
And everybody's welcome to join us, but we're going to go to the multi-purpose room down by the fitness center, so our robotics team can do a presentation, but everybody's welcome to join.
And it's the first time we're in the room space.
We are back, and thank you for waiting for us, and for those of you that got in on that demo, I thought that was pretty great. Next, we have consent agenda. And by that, we're accepting minutes from previous meetings, correspondence, which was included in your packet, and I have to call out a very gracious gift. An anonymous donor generously donated $5,110.69. That's 69 cents, to be used by the high school cheer squad to purchase new cheer mats. Wow, that is really generous, and I just want to say on camera that is very much appreciated. And also, we're accepting the policies that are listed there. So if there aren't any questions, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Moving right along, we'll move on to old business, and,
Point of information, if I might.
excuse me?
Point of information. That's okay.
Yeah, you have a question, Mary?
I
Go
do,
ahead.
yeah, I do. And just information-wise, that's come up. Gmail. I got a phone call on my home phone from Gmail when logging in security. Are all students' phone numbers attached to their Gmail accounts?
Are all students' personal phone numbers attached to their Gmail accounts?
Right, I didn't give them my personal phone number, so that would be something I would be curious as to how that happened. And that caused me to think that if I'm having to log in via this phone code, are students having their phone number as part of their email account?
No, student phone numbers aren't part of that. Are you talking about for multi-factor authentication kind of stuff for your Gmail?
I don't know, Mike. I've been on the board almost 3 years, and 2 weeks ago for the first time, clicking through continue, and the phone rings. And what shows up on my screen is the spaces for a code, and it's Google telling me what the code is. And I never connected that account to my phone number.
Yeah, I mean, we can get you more information. That's likely on our end for the adults. You have to have multi-factor authentication as a part of our cybersecurity for all the adults with accounts. So you either get a phone call or a text message with a code for logins for extra security. That's what that's for.
That's new.
That's been in place for years. It's the first time apparently that's happened for you, but that's
Correct.
Yeah, so that's probably the first time you've been prompted to re-log in.
So now Google has my phone number, which I never wanted them to have. So, okay, so it's not for the students, ever.
No, the students' personal phone numbers are not connected to their Google accounts.
Okay. Last point of information, if I could, or I can wait, Brian, if you want.
Yeah, this is actually not an agenda
Yeah, it's not
item.
an
If there's
agenda.
technical questions that you have, I'd encourage you. Rachel's here. You can send
Yeah,
stuff to
it's a
her,
point of information.
but it's not on the agenda.
The last one is, do you have the data for the, I'm told it was 70% of our students graduating from PHS graduate with high school college credits. Do you have a data sheet that backs that up?
Yeah, if you reach out to Anthony, he can get that information to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let me know exactly what you're looking for, I can get it for you.
will do. Do you know where the annual meeting web piece is?
I'm not sure what your
So
question
I was
is.
told that the 70% came from your report during the annual meeting. The board meeting is up for our August 18th, but the annual meeting video is not up.
I'll have to get back to you, Mary, and talk to, this is a question that'd be helpful to get ahead of the time so that we can find that information for you.
And again, since it's not on the agenda,
I would not put a question of such trivial nature on an agenda. I figured you knew it was where it was,
I'm not exactly sure what you're
or
looking
why it
for.
wasn't up at
If
this.
you're looking for the video for the meeting, you can always reach out to us and we can make sure.
Yeah, it's just not part of what's up there now,
Okay.
and I didn't know why they would be separated. That's all I've got. Thank you.
thank you. We're moving on to old business, and, in our previous meeting, we considered the personal communication device policies. And, we did not vote on it, and, tonight, because we received so much information, I will talk again to this, but we are going to put off that vote tonight. But what I do want is I would like Anna and Maura just to speak to the survey that you did of the high school, how that came about, how many students took your survey, and just speak to it a little bit.
Would you guys like it on the screen?
Sure. I think I shared the presentation. All right. So we just wanted to provide a little brief summary of the survey we sent out to the Pewaukee High School students. We received 560 responses, and of that 560, thank you so much. We asked, I believe it was 5 questions. 2 of them were more open-ended, and those were optional. If students wanted to respond with personal stories about the cell phone, whether the cell phone restrictions, whether it's been a positive impact on their learning experience or negative. But I just wanted to provide a little bit more of like the statistics of it all. So our first question was, do you feel that the phone restrictions have improved your overall mental health while at school? We had many students say no, not at all. I believe their responses were more geared towards the fact of like it's remained the same. A lot of students did say though in the follow-up question to that, that the new phone restrictions have allowed them during lunch to decompress, and I believe a more ban would kind of affect that differently. Otherwise, yeah, a lot of students responded a little bit more moderately. There was a little bit in the middle, but nobody gave a absolute yes answer because we did have that 5 option. For our second question, we said, do you feel the phone restrictions have improved your focus on learning? As I know, that was a prevalent topic of concern of whether the phones are conflicting with the learning experience of students. And we had 279 students say no, not at all, 167 say 2, which is like more of the moderate response, a little bit more in the middle. And then we had 95 students say 3, which was also in the middle. So those were our prompts that we gave them. And then we did give them, do you face barriers to your learning experience due to the new phone restrictions? This question was more geared towards, because I know there was a lot of questions kind of like what we did just talk about is the 2-factor like authentication for email entries. So that was something that we had a bit of a concern, and we wanted to get student perspectives because of course we only see like a couple of the classes that we take. We don't see every single class that's offered. So a lot of students said yes or no. Most of the no, people didn't respond to the follow-up question that was later asking like what specific things they experienced barriers in. And the people who said yes were just more so art classes, which I know we had previously discussed the importance of having a phone in there and having those like marketing classes and things that are already pre-approved. Do you want to share the individual responses we received? Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I just made a summary. Mr. Smith helped us kind of search through some of the responses we got and make a general summary of what the students were saying. So safety was a big concern. I know we had our lockdown last year, and that really freaked a lot of people out, but I know that last meeting we did address that you can still have the phone maybe in your pencil case or in your computer bag. It's just not supposed to be seen all day, and that can kind of disprove that. Communication with parents, employers, and coaches was a big thing for students. Like, even I've said it before, I think it's a lot more convenient to communicate with my coaches on my phone, or like I work at the 5 o'clock club, my scheduling manager isn't emailing me, she doesn't have my email. She texts me, like, that's not really gonna work out that well. And I've heard from my aunt that we're not really supposed to be starting communication with parents on Student Square. So I feel like that might not quite work out if we want to have communication with parents throughout the day. Enforcement concerns. Some students believe that a total ban will increase negative behaviors and increase the amount of reports due to phones. And then a lot of people view their lunchtime as their free time. I'm sure many of you during your lunchtime, if you have nothing to do, you might scroll on your phone. I see Mr. Katie posting what to eat for all the wrestlers on the Sports U. But That's during your respective lunchtime. If you don't have work to do, then as long as you're not harming anyone, there's no wrongdoing with that. So the bigger part is that many agree with the restriction. They understand why it was put in place, and they understand that they're supposed to focus during class time. But many view lunchtime and in-between passing period as their free time, and if you want to treat them like they're going to be functioning adults in the real world in just a few years, like you need to give them some of the responsibility to thrive in an environment that's more unregulated than school is.
Thank you. Board, admin, does anyone have any questions for
I have
Anna?
a question,
or Maura?
yeah. Did you ask the students how long they can go without looking at their phone? Like, could they go without 24 hours without looking at their phone?
That was not.
That was not a question.
Might be a good thing to know.
Last board meeting, I had asked you a question, Anna, and it was basically if there was, quote, a ban, but if phones were allowed during lunch only, do you feel that students would be able to use their phones during lunch, but then when lunch is over, be able to put them away and go back to class and concentrate on their studies for the rest of the day? I'm gonna ask that again, especially now because you gals have done the survey and you've seen a lot of responses from students. What do you think about that?
I would say personally, I think that students would have the ability to put their phones away. I actually think even now, as we progress further into the year, we see more and more acceptance from students on the restriction of having it away when you walk through the door. And that's why I think like promoting it to a full ban isn't allowing the rule as itself take complete form and have students completely accept it yet. But I think that students have been pretty well behaved. I mean, on the phone idea, I know we have some incidents here and there, but I think as the year goes on, we're seeing less of that, definitely. And yeah, I mean, I think like having their phones at lunch, they can still interact. I mean, as of right now, just observing, sitting in the lunchroom, I do see students still talking to each other. It's not like they're completely on their phone. So it's not like the restriction has completely taken away any ability for them to interact face to face with one another.
Yeah. I just think a lot of people already respect the restriction, and I don't think there's a reason to push back the ban. After a conversation with Mr. Smith, like we discussed that a lot of the like reasons that phones are being taken aren't always just someone's blatantly out on their phone. It's that like gray area in between where maybe like class is done but the bell hasn't rung, everyone's standing by the door, someone pulls out their phone, or the bell hasn't rung to start class yet but they walk into class, their phone's in their hand, stuff like that. I don't think it's people outwardly going against the policy in place.
Was the 560 all high school?
Yes.
Okay.
Was this opened up to teachers at all or no?
We did. I did actually receive a request from a teacher who was curious if we were going to make a survey involving that, just because of the quick time that it, like we created this pretty quickly and kind of threw it together and sent it out. We didn't really talk about that, but I mean, that's a potential to have a survey that goes out to teachers as well, just to hear their perspective.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
are we, sorry to interrupt, but when are we planning to like finally vote on this, since I know we've moved it to a different.
Well, I think the most important thing, and I can only speak for myself, is that the reason I saw disappointment when I said that we're gonna table that vote tonight. But I think what's important here is you girls have given us a ton of information and we got it this afternoon. And I can say personally that I know there's board members that were not able to weed through all the information and read all the comments and everything that we received. And out of respect for our students, I really feel like we owe it to them to review all the information that we've been given. So it does not feel right to take a vote tonight without, and we have a board member missing tonight. That individual should read the same information before we take that all-important vote. So I know that's disappointing, but I think it's respectful of those that answered the survey. You know, originally, the board said that we were looking to enact something January 1st, after the Christmas break. We have a lot of time here. It doesn't take long to take a vote and approve or not approve. But I think what's most important is that we're respectful of the student opinions and consider those and move forward after we've all had time to review that. So.
Well, I'm just wondering, because if time allows, then we could get a survey out to teachers if we'd like to see that data.
Yeah,
Board-
that'd be pretty easy to do. Brian?
Board members, how do you feel about that? Would you like to see teachers?
I would like to see
I would
that.
absolutely love to see
Yeah.
teachers.
I wouldn't, I think, isn't there a ban in the classroom already in place?
The current rules prohibit use of the phone during classroom time.
Right, which is good, and I don't think that we would want to see that change, so I don't see that the exercise would be providing us with much more useful information.
Well, the reason, Mary, is because there's a consideration for a complete ban, which would mean no phone from bell to bell. And right now, they're allowed to use it in the hall in passing and on lunch. So that's the difference in what's being considered here. And along with students' opinion, I'd have to agree. I think it would be good for us to hear some comments from teachers on how they're feeling about the consideration of a total ban. Am I alone on that?
No.
I think we're asking you to do a bunch more work.
Well, I do have a question time out on that one. Is it appropriate for students to do a survey of the teachers, or do we need to have
Right.
an
We could,
administrative group?
we can very easily push out a survey to teachers.
Right. Administration could do that.
I think it's more important that we have it come
Right.
from,
Okay.
and it would be, again, only high school.
What does he want to know from the teachers, like what, because like, these questions were designed specifically to ask what the impact's been on students. So what would you like to hear from the teachers? Like in general, what perspective?
I want to know if they're in support of the full ban or not.
So an either or of current,
Yep.
restriction policy versus ban policy?
Correct.
Okay.
And,
And why, I guess, maybe if there's room for some verbatims.
yeah, for some comments. Also, since we've gotten stricter on the restrictions and not a complete ban, do the teachers see any changes now that we're really strict with the restrictions, or do they feel the ban is something that they think is necessary to keep kids focused? I mean, we can come up with questions.
Just a clarification, at one point we had a discussion about social media, and I think the admin's response was they don't have access to social media on your system.
Right, but we don't control their phones. Right.
That's where I would lead into. So when we were talking about student access to social media, it is an insufficient answer, it seems to me, to say that no, they don't have access to it because they don't have access to it by us. They've got access to it any way they want if they bring in the phones. So we have no control over the social media, I think would be a better way to frame that. That
Yeah,
the
the prior
students
question,
see.
the question that you posed earlier was about ChatGPT, not social media.
No, this is a couple of weeks ago, Mike.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about your question earlier. But
No.
yeah, of course, we don't control their phones. If their phones are on their personal networks, our,
Right.
our filters
But
don't
the
apply.
the question that was brought up before was, what's the permeation of social media into this academic environment? And the response was, there is none because it's not on, students can't see it from their networks.
Pretty sure the answer
We
was,
sort of walked over, I didn't catch it myself, it's
Yeah.
no fault on your point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the answer was that we don't allow it on our system.
Yeah, right, exactly. Which doesn't, it just leaves a big hole. I mean,
Yeah.
God bless them. I mean, if I'm 15 and I got this phone and I've been raised on this phone and my life is on this phone, I'm not letting you folks take it away from me anytime soon. This is my nourishment, and we have created a scenario where their brains are focused to this. So for 50 minutes, they can put it away. And for 50 minutes, they're wondering if there's going to be anything on that phone when they get out to it. That's a different problem, I understand that. But it is inaccurate to say that they have no access to social media while they're in this building, while they're on this campus, because they got it everywhere. They got TikTok, they got everything they want, as long as we have the phones on the campus.
Yeah, and we didn't say
Okay,
that.
yeah. That should be kind of the backdrop here. If there was any intent or any suggestion that we were taking care of or tamping down on the social media these children are exposed to, that's not true if they've got the phones everywhere, so, thank you.
Theoretically, they cannot access the internet, the Pewaukee School District internet on their phones here, right? That's shut down.
They can't access, right. They can't access our internet.
Right.
And if they are on with their other devices on our internet, we have control. If they're on their phone networks, of course, we don't have any control over that.
So if they're using data, they would be able to access.
If they're on their cellular, right.
That's part of their phone package, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
A couple questions I had on this. Looking at comments, right, there's a lot of across the board. How much is a dual authentication or multi-authentication needed for Chromebook usage?
I'm going to have Rachel come up so you can respond to, because you're going to know the technical answers to this better.
There were some concerns about that.
It was mentioned a lot I have the same question.
So students are not multi-factor authenticating
Okay.
at all. That is only for staff, the adults on our system. They do multi-factor, and we don't have students, they don't have to pull out their phone to get the code or the phone call or anything like that, because we simply didn't want that. They are on a completely different network off the core network, and that therefore the risk is less for them. The Chromebooks are on a different network.
But can I ask a question?
Brian?
If a student, let's say, set up an account, nothing inappropriate or like that, like an external account not related to school, they entered their own information, would it be possible that they would have to do some authentication if it had nothing to do with school?
Brian, can you come up?
For school, actually, our AP.
Brian, you're going to need to come to the microphone.
Our AP courses all of our students in those courses have to sign up for this AP Classroom program. That actually did require two-factor authentication, and so therefore that was a situation where teachers just had to fill out our exemption form. I had to approve that the students could use it for that moment, for them to pull it out, do that, and be done, and that was how we handled it.
Other systems that we provide, there are no two-factor for students other than that scenario.
I have a couple questions. So can someone speak to the document that was provided as a summary? From what I understand, it was an AI summary that was put together, and what prompted that, and I guess what application was used, and
That was the one you provided, Brian.
So similar to your experience today, we had a very short timeline and about 50 pages of comments on two different questions, and so we utilized Brisk, which is a district tool, to ask for a summary of the responses, and so that's the summary that you're seeing there is essentially a Brisk generated summary of all of the comments and the general themes throughout the comments. Scanning the comments, I think none of us found anything that seemed like it had gone awry. It seemed to be in line with what we read.
but it's just anecdotal student comments, right? I mean, it's not like anything was filling out as like countable, if you will, other than, I don't know if Matt was counting something or not, but is there anything that's countable out of this in terms of the frequency of any of these responses?
We could certainly do that. I could ask better questions of AI, or I could
It's
count
not prompt
myself.
engineering, by the way. So,
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. In large part, I was just trying to give them something they could work with and putting together a presentation for this evening. This was really their project, so I was just trying to give them the tools they needed.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you guys were able to do it, because that was one of the concerns I brought up last time, is I didn't think that we had enough data to be able to really do it. And we also really hadn't sought out the voice of the students who are affected by this. And I think I made the point, and some of you tonight have also made the point, that their lives are much more complex and they have multiple scheduling issues and obligations, work, school activities, extracurricular activities that they're involved in, and it just becomes really, really hard to try to do that in a world of email. And I also found out apparently sometimes emails are blocked, or if a person's parent is at work, or parent or guardian is at work, they're not sitting there checking their, maybe emails from their kids either, unless because it gets blocked in their work emails. Everything has got the firewalls out there now, so not everything always goes through. In fact, I experienced that with my own volunteer kinds of stuff that's there. A message that came through that a license was expiring on one of the projects that we use, and it went into my spam folder, and I didn't see it for a week, and guess what? They shut down our website because I hadn't paid an invoice in, whatever it was, 7 or 8 day period to pay for an invoice, so, that happens, but. Anything else?
The other pieces that I think are, in terms of the draft policy that you're considering, the things that I saw as things that came out in the survey. One was, and Maura talked about this, the safety. The policy that you have put together that you're considering doesn't prevent students from carrying their device with them, right? So in the case of and that we saw that a lot, right, in the survey. There's a lockdown, there's something like that. And that was, I think, something this board and then committee talked quite a bit about. And certainly something we heard about in strategic planning. So that is kind of resolved with that piece. The other was for instructional purposes, and there is a process. And there's been a number of examples of things that have been improved for instructional. So like, for example, there was a really good comment about art, right, and taking photographs of stages of iteration of art projects. Certainly that's something the art teacher could recommend to the administration for approval. Likely something like that would be approved to allow students to use their phones to take pictures. So there is, again, I'm not advocating for or against anyway. I'm just clarifying that some of those things that were brought up, I think you've thought about in the policy that you're considering. And so those things I thought would be helpful for everybody to hear, that in this policy there are opportunities for those things.
Yeah, I think on a lot of the comments, there's concerns that it's a black and white, and that there is room for an administrator to grant permission for specific education objectives, right? Art, pictures in class, right? Depending on the class they're in. So maybe we need to help the students understand that it's certain classes, it can be approved based on the administrator for the education of that class. Which maybe it's not coming through or understanding that portion.
I agree, Travis. I think there are certain elements of this where it is allowing for exceptions. I feel like that's not getting out there to the general public, that yes, you can pull your phone out if there's a shooter in the building. You're allowed to do that according to the way the policy is currently drafted. Your administrator, Principal Sniff, can give permission to teachers to make exceptions to allow for phones, like, for instance, registering for the AP classes, things like that. So thank you, Travis, for bringing that up, because I think that is important to know that there are exceptions in there, and it isn't all just black and white.
Yeah, and maybe this would be helpful. So in number 3 on the policy, exceptions to policy prohibitions, says students shall not be prohibited from possessing or using a personal communication device under the following circumstances. And what you currently have in here is in the case of an emergency response to a perceived threat of danger. Bullet 2, when an administrator grants permission for a specific educational learning objective. Bullet 3, when a licensed physician or surgeon determines that the possession or use is necessary for the student's health and well-being. We've talked a lot about glucose monitors as an example.
Yes, there was a comment by a diabetic student, and they would be allowed to use their phone to monitor.
And bullet 4, when the possession or use is required by the student's individual education plan, program, IEP, or 504 plan. So there are some things that are in there that would be exceptions that I just thought would be helpful for some of the discussion tonight.
And obviously, we're not gonna get into the nitty-gritties of it, but the one bullet point that you had, a licensed physician or surgeon, physicians, or surgeons are physicians, and physicians can be surgeons too. So, I mean, I don't think we need that, just a provider
Right, from
or
the
something like
verbiage,
that.
yeah.
The other question I had, actually, this is maybe back to Brian. So we have about, is it 895 students in the high school? Is that the correct number? So we had 560 responses, which is close to 62 or 61%, something like that. But of the group, and I know you have some data on this, because you've also been tracking this now from a disciplinary standpoint, how many students have incurred, and this is our first offense, so the device was surrendered or taken, how many of those do we have, and how many second or subsequent devices or violations have we encountered?
So we've had 3 weeks so far. We've had 66 first-time offenses when it comes to personal technology. We've had 11 second or third-time offenses.
11.
11.
So 11 students have had second level, so that's 11 out of 895 in 3 weeks or so now.
Yep.
Could they have a school phone? There are phones that you can have that will take text and do the dials, but you can't access the internet and all that other stuff that is of concern. And it's a very cheap phone, which would mean all the concerns about moving back and forth and the fast pace of whatever you're doing because of text would go away, and we would not need to be so concerned about it because they couldn't access all the social media on these phones. Just the basic flip phone, which is available. You could come into school, swap that phone out for the school phone. That's the phone you get all day. When you go to leave, you can get your phone back.
I still have a flip phone, but it doesn't work anymore, by the way, so. Another question I had is under Roman numeral 2. It says students may not use PCDs on school property or at school-sponsored activity to access and or view internet websites that are otherwise blocked to students at school. And this is one of those, it's like, how in the world would we ever enforce that? If we have something in a policy that we cannot enforce, I don't think that makes sense. So I would potentially scratch that one, but.
You could enforce it if they had a school phone.
What's that?
You could enforce it if they had a school phone.
They have a Chromebook computer now, so.
Right, but we've already established that that's monitored thoroughly by the admin. So am I wrong in that?
In terms of their use of the Chromebooks?
In terms of Larry's question.
Well, there's filters and firewalls and those things, and then there's,
That,
A phone provided by the school would have to have the same filters per law.
yeah, and I don't think.
no, I'm not talking about that kind of phone. The phones that are available, can't think of the name of the company, but they're for people who don't want to be attached to the internet. But they take text and they have cameras on them, but they're not attachable to the internet. And you could use that mechanism. You wouldn't have to do with the bags and all that kind of stuff. You just swap one phone for the other. That becomes the phone you get to use during school. It has no capacity to load up all the ills we're very concerned about with these kids. And it might reduce, I know texting is the bigger draw for most of them because that's the social part, but it might reduce that constant thinking, can't wait to get to my phone in the next 50 minutes. Because for the entire day, there's not going to be all the stuff that they get to see when they go home on the regular phone.
But I think we're also talking about tremendous cost to provide a school-provided track phone.
No, they're $50.
But it's 900 phones.
Right, but the family could do that. If they felt strong enough that they do not want to have their child leave their phone.
You're saying in the policy, if the family wanted to provide a flip phone with no internet capability.
Right, then you're not having to do this massive ban all the way across. Parents don't have to worry about not getting to their children. They just, if they want the child to have that phone all day long, if the students want to have those texts all day long, they get the very moderately priced flip phone. And then they can do what they want. We don't have to worry about trying to enforce it, trying to follow up all those little leads on who's doing what.
Do we have any more questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I just want to back Brian on the number you said. So that was 66, But so the 11 students that have lost access or their second round of violations, if you will, so 11 out of 895, what percentage is that approximately?
About 1%.
1%, right? I mean, it just seems, yeah. And they're obviously being dealt with, right? I mean, those students, the phones are being confiscated. The parents have to come in and pick them up, right?
For second-time offense, you would lose it, just like you would for a first-time offense, but instead of you picking it up at the end of the day, the parent has to do that. And really, part of the picking up at the end of the day is that we reiterate the expectations to the student when they come to pick it up. And in this case, we'd be able to reiterate it to the parent when they come pick it up. The third-time offense would now be that you have to turn into the office at the beginning of the day for 2 weeks. There's a contract of very clear expectations set forth for that student so they kind of have a 2-week probation period. The fourth time, we would be talking about a much longer.
And that was placed in the student handbook materials, right? So that's the rules that the students are currently following at this point, correct?
Yeah, yes. Well, all but 66 are following.
Yeah, right.
What is, Brian, what is the age of the 66?
Hey, Brian, I'm gonna need to ask you to talk at the microphone because the stream can't hear you when you're commenting from the seats, so.
What are the ages of the 66?
Yeah, if you could just tell me how many of them are seniors?
Well, we're going to test out our new tool called NextPath real quick. And I'm going to say from a senior perspective, I have about 15.
Repeat that again, sorry.
About 15 of the 66 are seniors.
And they should know better, right?
In theory.
In theory.
Could you, anybody on the board, reiterate the reason why the seniors are included in the policy?
Again, Mary, could you repeat that?
Why are the seniors included in the ban? At whatever level it is, why are the seniors,
I could answer that.
why would
real
that not be
quickly.
a senior privilege?
Sure. So the challenge that you then face is differentiating in a mixed grade class. Seniors don't have a badge on that says I'm senior, and so you would have to be like, oh, wait a minute, yep, it's okay for you two to have your phones out, but you guys can't. Like, it would just be a real management challenge if you had
Right,
some
I think,
kids.
yeah, let me just help you out here. Not in the classroom. So the classroom is, the teacher runs the classroom, and then the phones aren't going to be in the
Yep.
classroom. So, and seniors would know that.
Okay.
But it's the other areas.
So in the hallway and the
Yeah,
lunchroom?
all the other areas where everybody is being treated as equally.
Yeah, so you even
Immature
magnify that. Like if we saw students walking down the hallway, there's certainly some kids that we know are seniors. There are 200 and some of them. So whether this student is, are you still a junior or are you a senior? Like, you would run into that sort of, we'd have to try and process and figure it out with every kid that we would see, that we didn't know automatically you're a freshman versus you're a senior. So some of it would be easy, some of it would be a management challenge.
Making sure I get this. You don't know your seniors by sight by their senior year?
We get 200 some odd kids every year, and we graduate 200 kids every year. And so there's a lot of kids in this building, and so remembering that, oh, you're no longer a junior, you're a senior, you're no longer a sophomore, you're a junior, like, it's, again, they don't
And
wear.
again, it's also teachers in the hallways. This
Yep.
isn't just 3 administrators enforcing this. This is
Correct.
the new freshman teacher that sees kids on their, I'm just gonna be direct. This would be a complete impossibility to enforce this in a high school as a senior privilege. It's not
Are there no other senior privileges?
There's free periods, things along those lines that students have some flexibility with, yes.
Is there open campus for seniors?
If they're on free period, they are permitted to leave.
Okay, so it's the same.
But they have to check in, check out. There's an attendance piece. There's a mechanism for that. To look at 900 kids transitioning between class or 300-400 kids in a cafeteria and to say, and expect the staff to know which of those kids can be on their phone and which you can't. It's not a reasonable thing to think you can enforce that. So if you're gonna allow, I'm just saying, I was a high school administrator, I was a high school teacher. I don't see how that's a feasible option. I like the idea and I understand the rationale for it, that they're the most adult but from an enforcement standpoint, it would be extremely difficult.
It would be
In
an
theory-
undue burden for administration and staff.
Yeah, in theory, if they're out on their free period, we aren't monitoring them anyway, so they can do what they want when they're out in the community. So there, to some extent, is a privilege that exists here.
Board, do I have any more additional questions from anyone? Okay, otherwise, I will take a motion to table this vote, till the next meeting.
I move to table the old business item, the policy 5300.15, personal communication device policy will be tabled until another meeting or next meeting.
Signy day.
October 13th.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving right along. New business, we want to discuss summer campus improvements for 2025. And John Stangler is going to provide an update for us on that. And thank you all for coming and participating.
All right. Do you want to say anything in the open, or we're good?
Just annually, one of the areas where we want to give the board an update and the community an update is some of the things that we accomplished over the summer. When you talk about maintaining a facility of this size and maintaining the buildings to the standards of what we've established in the district, that happens in about an 8 to 10 week period over the summer, and that's in between summer school. Happening in the mornings on those days. So a lot is accomplished, and the intent is here to give the board an annual picture of, here's the stuff that we did. 2 weeks ago, we presented to you the capital projects from the referendum and the status report on that at our last meeting. And the intent here is now to give the rest of the picture of what is accomplished during the summer through our Buildings Grounds Department and around the district. So.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks for having me tonight. And again, like John mentioned, it's just the continuous improvement of our facilities and keeping them up to snuff, and making them great for the kids. We do a lot of this in a 8 to 10 to 12 week time period over the summer, all while everything else is still going on, and then also some other major construction going on at the same time. But first, I want to make sure I go through a thank you list. Thanks to Mike, John, and you guys for allowing us to have the budget in order to make these positive improvements to our schools and to our campus. Also to my entire team. Olivia would make it. She wasn't able to make it tonight. She was not feeling well. But Olivia Gill, Pat Singer, Deb Winchell, Sue Four, Drew Deinhardt, Troy Meineke, Tony Schumbuckner, Rich Eels, Jim Blahach, Ben Graham, Jeremy Stotts, Rick Moncada, Carol Cabino, Andrew Moncada, Aiden Jekyll, Andy Guyton, Gavin Bosanic, Hudson Calvin, Eli Austin, Mary Grunwald, Peyton Winchell, Randy Kernitz, Jason Poshis, and Bob Edwards. It takes a whole team in order to get a lot of these projects completed over the summer and to flip our buildings. And again, we're flipping close to 200 classrooms in 45 to 50 days. So it's like cleaning 2 or 3 people's houses on an average basis of what they're trying to accomplish over the summer. All while everything else is still going on around us. So just to jump in a few of those projects, I know Emily Jasnowski and Kay Dirks talked about this in May, but also I do want to make sure I thank those necessary parties that were involved in helping to make this happen. And We Energies for graciously donating and installing all those power poles. We also had Pewaukee PTO, Wellenstein and Sons, C.G. Schmidt, Natural Solutions, Siebert Landscape, also Nelson Burnell's and their construction class, and also Ben Lapp for their guidance and direction in order to make this all happen. The best part was getting the kids involved in a lot of facets of this, between measuring, laying out. Even in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see Emily Jasnowski up on that boom truck, helping put in one of the poles. So it was just great to see the involvement, and the best part is when you can get those kids involved in that process and make them included. And, again, it's going to be a great benefit that the kids are going to be able to enjoy going forward. We also had a couple of other projects that we completed over the summer. So with the AC being down in this area here, which services Air Handling Unit 2, the IT office down the hallway, we decided to take care of the carpeting. You can see that this is the old carpeting from the old computer lab way back when it went from a computer lab to an office area back in 2012, 2013. So we ended up giving that a nice little facelift, paint, new carpeting, while the AC was down. So it was the only time really, because otherwise the IT department's, continuously working and moving and everything else, and we had to relocate them anyways because of the air conditioning being down in this area, that, hey, we're able to remodel and take care of their space at the same time. Also, thanks to Adair Flooring for being able to help and flip the carpeting in a short amount of time that we're asking. Also, we installed a new softball batting cage. So in right center field, you'll see a new softball batting cage that I know Ben and Jeremy primarily installed. We got the material from Keeper Goals and KM Sports, but then my crew was able to install it, so we saved a little bit of money by being able to install it in-house and taking care of that ourselves. You're familiar with these. This goes to Derek Walls and Shear Construction, or Shear Cares. They helped install this. I know there was a nice, Miranda gave this a really good article a while back where we had the ribbon cutting of what Derek was able to accomplish and add to both PLE and Horizons playgrounds with the Calming Coves. So just some great spaces, and another thing that kids are involved, and we're able to get in and get completed over the summer. Also, there's a couple of other projects. I know Dana and Divya painted the courtyard area, that wall, just a different perspective. I gave that the space right out here, right over your shoulders, right there. That's it was just kind of spruced. It definitely spruced up that courtyard area, gave a little more life that they're utilizing as a Zen garden of sorts. Also on the right-hand side, I know Tammy with Pewaukee Predators. We were able to cut that back and help them out in installing all the new infield mixes in that softball JV diamond, which is right next to the turf diamond in the backside of Asa Clark. We were able to accomplish some other fun items, and we talked about 2 weeks ago replacing 3 other rooftop units at the high school. So just to kind of put things in perspective, the green and the yellow areas, those are the areas that service a good chunk of the high school. Those are area units 1 and 2. So those were completely replaced. They're about half the size of what they originally were. These are old dinosaurs. I call them energy dinosaurs that we had from 1968, where we're already seeing the savings. I don't have even a full month's of data, but we're seeing a nice kilowatt drop in the energy usage just based upon those 2 units. These service the first floor and second floor. So like the area in the yellow, that has 30 VAVs in them. So there's 30 variable air volume systems that help control the air, so I can control the temperature, heat, and cold air to each individual space. So it's definitely going to help us create a much more efficiency, but then also, like, say if one teacher say, hey, I'm hot or I'm too cold, all right, we can adjust it and open up the right valve in order to supply them the air that they need. The unit on the northwest corner of the picture, that is rooftop 1, so that was one that was replaced, and there's also rooftop 2 and 3, which are just the north side of the auxiliary gym, which service the majority of the auxiliary gym, and then part of a locker room. So those are the other 3 rooftop units that were replaced. But also I just want to mention the magnitude of that. These units are gigantic. And if you've been down below the dock, or, well, the other unit, you've probably never been in the basement, down near 103. and that's on the left-hand side. You'll see that. So that's down there. So these are half the size they used to be. And then, at the same point with construction, we had to drain the chiller, and that led to the AC not being on until later in August. So we had a lot of temporary air that we supplied to take care of the summer school that we hosted at the high school. Middle school, it did not affect the AC at the middle school, but it just solely affected the AC at the high school with all the construction and with all the units that were under construction. But that is a massive undertaking just to rip those out, run new lines, run new ductwork. And going back from a chronological timeline, we had a lot of abatement that happened in March, April. Then we, took a lot of, our crews took a lot of that stuff out of the old tech ed wings. A lot of it we have stored of the stuff that we will be reusing. And then we had more abatement right between regular school and summer school. We had graduation on Saturday. On Sunday, we had abatement going on, and the whole next week in order to prep for demo and prep for construction and and making sure all these units have. The old ductwork, there was, say the caulk is hot, so there's different colors of caulk that was on the old ductwork, that gigantic, 36-inch duct that serviced from the old units. That had to be removed as part of the abatement as well, so they just wrap it and they pull it out. And then we run all the air clearance and everything else that we complete after that. But again, that was a lot of the high school's HVAC that was replaced. Also, you'll see, so this is an example. This is actually just a screenshot of the new area that you were just in this evening. So the bottom right is actually the multi-purpose room. You can see, all right, we can see the temperature. So those VAVs in each of those spaces, we can see the temperature just by looking at the screen on our building automation system. So the great part is we can see this remotely, and I could pull it on my laptop at home. I can check a temperature. Hey, the gym's too hot. Hey, can you cool it off for us? Yes. So we can adjust that through our building automation system, but this is the type of system that we have in the new area, and then also that we're able to receive with all the HVAC improvements with areas 1 and 2. All right, and then on the left-hand side, we had Keeper Goals helped us install the new discus ring. We had to relocate that. They used to be closer to the maintenance shed. Also on the right-hand side, we installed the back matting on the softball turf field. I throw a picture of Horizon here. We had clear vision pressure wash. So we used to have some staining from some of the seams from the metal coping that ran across the top. So that all got pressure washed. So the entire Horizon got pressure washed over the summer. There's a whole process to make that happen, but you can see it looks pretty clean and just like new. Also, with other HVAC improvements come a couple of other random items that pop up. On the left-hand side, we had a boiler pipe that collapsed during the year that we needed to have repaired. So there's new piping that piped up right out into this courtyard in order to properly vent that. And then also on the right-hand side, there's 2 pumps that were rebuilt. Built and one was rebuilt and the other one was replaced completely. That services the water for there. And then also our crew ended up replacing and rebuilding the 2 domestic pumps that are backed by the band room. So that services a good portion of the water that services the high school, especially on the west side of the high school. And then as far as the roofing goes, the whole bottom right of this picture, that's what was replaced at PLE. So again, that's almost 2/3 of Pewaukee Lake Elementary was replaced. The ones on the top left, those are going to be, we're probably be able to hold off a year or 2 on those of their replacement. Again, these are life cycle replacements. And just to put this in perspective, that was 73,000 square feet of roof that was replaced at PLE. And they pull off typically they open up about 5,000 square feet every day, close to 5,000 square feet. So as long as it's not a rainy day, they're opening that much, they're replacing that much of a roof section every day as they roll around the building. So that took a majority of the summer. And then you can see we have nice EDPM roofs, and also it'll enable us and give us more options when we're looking at adding some more solar next summer. So the nice thing is with the rubber, it's not as heavy as the ballasted stone that you'd see on the typical roofs that we had before. So it gives us more opportunities, and also we can see if there's any leaks. We're going to be able to see them a lot easier on this rubber roof than we would a different type of roof. And
John?
also, yes, go ahead.
What is the life of a rubber roof versus the stone that we had?
The stone, 15 to 20 years, you get on a ballasted. This rubber, you'll get anywhere from 25 to 30. You know, and again, like the one that was at Horizon that we replaced, that we were able to extend that life of that roof by 4 or 5 years. Also, the ones that at PLE, we're at 28, 29 years on those. So the full rubber, the fully adhered rubber, we usually get 5 to 10 more years out of it from a life cycle standpoint. And then Horizon, and again, this is everything from 2001, so that was all replaced, which is about 85% of that building, minus the 2015 editions and the 2020 gym edition. So just about everything else was replaced. The only thing that remained stone was some metal roofing on the front face that you'll see, the areas 2, 3, 5, and 11 ended up, 2, 3, 5, and 11, those ended up staying ballasted because they were metal. It made more sense to keep them as stone. We're going to get the same warranty out of the companies for having them stone versus rubber, being those low roofs, just because of the metal decking that we had.
What was the actual life on those roofs from Horizon then?
The roofs from Horizon, so.
Is this the first replacement, right?
This is the first replacement, yes. So we're able to extend it, make it last 24 years. Which is really good for a ballasted roof. Usually a ballasted roof, you get anywhere from 15 to 20 years out of it. If you maintain and take care of it, you can get up to maybe 25. But then again, ultimately you could have leaks, and a lot of leaks in a short amount of time if you don't replace it before it needs to be replaced. But great question. And then those are Horizon's roofs, so those are looking really nice. We had inspections on those recently, and I think we're just waiting on the manufacturer rep to come out and do their full inspection yet. Also, there's a great opportunity. I know Mountain Biking Club, I know Mr. Sniff is gone, but they helped us out. So with spreading the wood chips, we've helped maintain and take care of, so our ground suit takes care of a lot of those trails. Trees that go down, storms that, washouts from floods, you name it. So we're trying to take care of those trails and help them out. So the Mountain Biking Club also helped us out with helping spread a lot of the wood chips around our playgrounds. So we had them dumped. They were able to bring all the rakes and help us out in, making that all happen. Also, this was a huge undertaking. So in early April, we ended up relocating the existing weight room and fitness center into the auxiliary gym. So we ended up putting plastic down, you could see, and then two rows of plywood. And then also we had I call them Lego pieces of rubber that we put on top, and the kids, so the speed and strength, it's not just the football team, there's a lot of other kids from other sports in the speed and strength that helped us get it all set up and take care of that. And then, the biggest thing is all right, the football team. There's a couple days there in early August where they literally moved all of the existing equipment into the new weight room, unpacked and unloaded all the other new equipment to help supplement the new weight room and fitness center, and then also help tear down the auxiliary gym, the temporary weight room that we had set up. So that was a big undertaking. So I really want to thank the football coaches and speed and strength for those, just because that was it was a big undertaking for us to make happen, but it was a terrific option and a terrific temporary weight room fitness center. And getting nods from students, yes. So, but it was a great temporary option that helped meet our needs until the new space is ready. All right, and then the nice thing is, all right, we got that done just in time. We had Stalker sports flooring in there shortly after it was all removed. Did our scrub and recoat. Floor's in good shape. because that was the biggest thing. We wanted to be able to protect the floor and not have to sand it down, repaint, refinish it. So we were able to get that turned around, and that was ready and operational for the first volleyball match on the 28th. Also, again, like, Mike and John were saying, we hosted all this other stuff. So there's still camps, still summer school, still, other events. And then we decided to, after summer school was done, we decided to host a mission work camp. So the cool part about the mission work camp is they spent the night for 5 or 6 nights in Asa Clark. And they took up most of the rooms. There's a couple spaces we kept them out of, but otherwise there's 291 campers from 16 churches from 7 different states that made up 50 crews that contributed over 8,700 hours of awesome community service to Lake Country, Pewaukee, and all of our surrounding communities. So it's pretty much within 50 miles. So I mean, pretty much draw a circle 50 miles around. They were able to complete all their projects, but cool to see that 8,700 hours of community service were able to happen in all of our communities, thanks to their help and and having them in our community. So it was a great thing, because I know this one goes back to 2019, 2018. I think we had our first meeting with them, talking about having them here, and then obviously 2020. I was like, well, that's not going to work this year. So, and then all right, came back and we're talking about in 2024, and we're like, I think we can make this happen. And I'm like, all right, it's going to be a little tight with all the construction going on, but we can make it happen. So, but it was great. We were able to make it happen and host them. It was just a great thing to have and have as we're going on. And then I'm just thinking if we have any other thank yous here. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just, they have a great team. Also, there's a couple of other things that I didn't have pictures on, from crack filling, striping. We had PLM take care of a lot of that for us. Also, there's some of those other things that just kind of happen behind the scenes. Like, all right, we had a motor go on a rooftop unit, not one that was replaced, one that was about 12 years old. The motor went. So, our crew replaced that a few weeks ago as well. So these things unfortunately happen, when you least expect it. But our goal is, again, through preventive maintenance and, proper replacement, rotation schedule, that we can take care of these items before they become an issue. Questions?
I have more of a question maybe for Mike. So with this mission camp, I guess either why did we do it, and what benefit did the Pewaukee School District get out of having or hosting it?
We were approached, as John mentioned, it was probably about 2019. It was actually some Pewaukee school family, the Wallaces, actually approached me about this idea from their church. I did go to the board about it and get the support of the board to do this. We did it because we were supporting our community. We thought, what a great opportunity, simply to provide a place for them to be. They're paying for the custodial time. They're paying for the food service support that they have.
Yep.
Basically, we provided them a facility where they could bring all these people together, and they're eating at local businesses. They're doing projects in our local communities. So it just seemed like kind of a no-brainer to help them provide this service to our local community.
Any direct costs we were able to cover?
Any direct costs is invoiced to them, and
Was there anything that they did, like specifically in city village of Pewaukee or not? In terms of,
I'm sure there were. I don't know what all the projects were.
I don't have all the details.
But it was a lot of, building porches on people's houses, or wheelchair ramps, or things where people can't afford to do things for themselves.
I think it would be helpful, because obviously it's a thing that we may want to showcase in terms of, supporting other kind of activities in the community, if you will. So,
yeah, I can reach out to them and ask if I can get kind of a list.
Were there any Pewaukee students or churches involved in?
Yes, I know there were. I know Alex Steinhaus was part of it, because he's been part of work camps before. So Alex was definitely involved, and I'm not sure which church is his, but he's one that I know that was involved.
Any other questions?
Brandon might want to do a story on it or something,
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Okay, next up is data and assessment calendar, and I'm gonna turn it over to Anthony.
Yeah, I know last year it was a goal of the board to have better knowledge when it came to data and assessment. So just sharing our data and assessment calendar with all of you for the 2025-26 school year. If there are any questions, I did not receive any questions prior. And Candace and I do have time scheduled. I think both of the board meetings in October and then one in the spring. And each of those is really going to be to focus on the ACT suite, the Wisconsin Forward, and Ames Web Plus. So the high leverage assessments that the state utilizes to judge our performance.
Thank you.
Tony,
I
could
really
you,
appreciate
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying thank you, Anthony, because I find this very helpful. So thank you for the work put into it.
The last thing you mentioned, Ames?
Yep.
What, could you just, two sentences?
Yeah, so there was a quick description in the board memo as well. However, with the passing of Act 20, which is the Wisconsin State Reading Law, the adopted screener by the state of Wisconsin for students up through third grade is Ames Web Plus Reading. So that's the assessment that our students in those grades take in fall, winter, and spring. That if they don't meet certain criteria, then they have a more formalized reading plan as required by the state.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Next up is strategic plan year 2 tactical plan update, and we'll start with Mike.
Yeah, and all process owners are here tonight. If you have specific questions, I didn't receive any questions ahead of time on any of the strategic plan elements. But this is year 2 of a 3-year plan. You approved the plan last fall. In terms of the 3-year plan, what we do is we come back to you and provide you the updated year 2 version of that plan. So the goals might be tweaked a little bit. The targets could be adjusted. We also look at what is that year 2 piece, how far are we trying to get in the second year. That's your year 2 tactical plan objectives. Provide you with the key measures that we're using to monitor our progress on these goals, and kind of articulate what are those key actions or strategies that those process owners are going to be implementing to advance that portion of the plan. So that's been presented to you for questions. There's no need for action because you've already approved the plan, but certainly we would take any questions or feedback that you might have at this time. And if you have specific questions on any plan, any of the process owners are here to help respond to that.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
So Anthony, this was one of the things, and I talked to Mike a little bit about this afternoon, and it's in your section where you have the future ready, and there's some numbers that are in there, and again, give us some context in terms of, the Ames reading, the 73.7 to 75%, and for the forward reading assessment, 69.2 to 72, and then the ACT suite assessments from 55 to 58%, 3%. So what I struggle with is it's like, okay, like that's a 3% or a 2.8% or a 1.3% change over a 2-year period of time. And so give me some context around how do you arrive at that, and is that really pushing it hard enough, or kind of like how do we kind of strive for excellence in those situations?
No, Larry, I think it's a good question. Obviously in writing goals, we utilize the SMART goal format. So one of those is realistic, right? So you want a goal that is achievable. So Candace and I work together, and from a data and statistics standpoint, that was a conversation that Candace and I had regarding setting those targets to be like stretches, but also attainable. In working with Candace, when you look specifically, probably Ames Web was new. That 73.7% baseline that was established last year. We don't have a lot of historical data when it comes to that. But when you have a higher percentage of students that are already proficient or higher, the students that you really are trying to move that are below proficiency, those are the students that have some significant gaps. So in a 3-year time span, that's a hard group to move. So in working with Candace, we kind of identified kind of those targets based on each of those different measures. You know, the ACT suite is, I think, one that stands out. You know, if you recall when we talked about the ACT last year, you're either at college readiness benchmark or you aren't. And that college readiness benchmark is a 50% chance that if you were to take the corresponding college level class, you would get a B or higher. And if you go back 10 years in time to 2015, which is the first year that the state required all juniors take the ACT, the highest percentage we have had in that time frame was 59%. It's went up, it's went down, but it's remained relatively flat. So in really looking, and I anticipate that this strategic plan goal will continue beyond this 3-year plan, but in working with Candace, we really wanted to focus on creating a steady upward trend as opposed to the couple percentage up, couple down, couple up, couple down for the last, 10-ish years.
Okay. I have another question. It's kind of on page 5. You don't have a page numbered, but it's the year 2 tactical plan objectives. I think it's on the right page, 5, 6. Okay. Yeah, where it refers to implement professional learning communities, PLCs, that systematically address the 4 critical questions.
Yep.
Tell me about those 4 critical questions and why are they not like really, really, really embedded in everything we do? But
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you look at any type of educational research, professional learning communities are a high leverage strategy. And really to paint a very clear picture, it is shifting from just talking about, hey, what are we going to teach, to did what we teach actually work? And did it increase student learning? So those 4 questions are, what do we want students to be able to know and do? So what do we want them to learn? How are we going to know they learned it? What are we going to know, or what are we going to do if they didn't learn it? And the 4th question is kind of for those more advanced learners. What if they're already advanced and already know it? How are we going to meet those students' needs? So it's really getting groups of adults and teachers together to really, to be honest, it's job embedded professional development where they can share strategies to meet those learners' needs.
and this is maybe, I've been around this a long time, but I mean, that should be something that just like automatically comes out of every teacher, principal, administrator, right? It's like, that's what we do. I mean, if you think those 4 questions, right? It's like, what do we want students to learn? Aha, it should be pretty clear. Right?
I mean, I feel fairly confident saying that we're really, really good at questions 1 and 2.
Okay.
I think the questions 3 and 4, like, what are we going to do with the kids that have shown that they didn't learn it? And how are we going to extend the learning of those higher level learners that have shown like, hey, I might already know this. Those are the areas that we could improve a bit on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and just a comment on that, I would think probably most of your experiences in education has not been questions 3 and 4. Most of your experiences, historically, certainly mine was coming up, teachers plan a lesson, they teach it, they assess it, and then they move on to the next thing. And because you got it or you didn't, there might be some kind of a bell curve in class. Some kids did really well, some kids did poorly. They move on to the next unit of study without really diving in and remediating and doing those kinds of things or extending. And what this really drives is that constant analytical improvement process related to learning. And so it seems intuitive, but there's a lot of discipline practices that have to have if you're really going to be pushing that.
Funny you should say that, Mike, because now it's an opportunity. That's exactly what the Malcolm Baldrige Award just kind of drives, is the idea of continuous improvement and continuing to get better at what we do. And that's the end of my questions.
Yeah.
I agree with Larry. I'm always stunned that you bring up things that are so core to what should be going on here, as if they're new. and you don't know how to do it yet.
And
I must push back strongly on points 3 and 4. I'm a former teacher. You don't do 1 and 2 unless you're doing 3 and 4. There's no, that's a non sequitur. It's not part of the teaching function to split it that way. So, thank you, Larry, for bringing that up. It always, you guys do so much facility-wise and all this kind of stuff, but sometimes I think you forget that teaching is the most important thing we're supposed to be doing here, and we're not doing a good job of it. Nobody likes it when I say we're 40% reading. Always quit bringing that up. But that's our raison d'etre. That is the whole purpose of ever having done this school, public school, in the first place. And we are not serving 40% of these people 10 years running. And what we've done from our beautiful state is we've lowered the standards so we can say that we've got more than 40%.
Yeah, and
that succeed or don't succeed.
We don't have 40%. So, and every piece of data that we have provided would show that that is not true. And
excuse me, Anthony, what do you mean? At the forward exam for the last 10 years?
40%?
It can't read, yeah. And it does exactly what Larry was describing, what you were just describing. It goes up and down a little bit around a very straight line, but it goes a little bit up 2 points, down 2 points, up 2 points. But the average, the median, if I can use that word, John, the median is 40%. That's 10 years running. There's been no change, no matter what beautiful architecture we put, no matter how many layers, MTS, all those layers of things you have these teachers doing. I sometimes, the people that are not here ever are the teachers. You've got students here who don't, God bless you, have no idea what it is to be taught. They're little. They would have no idea how to run a school, but the people who actually do the work, the hard work, are never part of the discussions. And it's like taken for granted that we don't have to do anything about teaching. That just goes on without us.
And that's just, I'm just going to call it what it is, blatantly false and untrue and disingenuous statements.
I'm not
That is
saying
not
it as
true,
a statement.
Mary.
I'm saying it
That
as
is-
an impression, Mike.
it is-
You can't.
You can say what your impression is.
That's
the
what I'm
fact
saying.
of the
It's
matter
an
is you've
impression.
had teachers in front of you again and again and again, and you've had data that shows you it is not 40%. You've had information presented to you that kids, in fact, can read quite well in this school district. Can they get better? Yes. Are we focused on it all the time? Do we talk about
yeah.
teaching? Excuse me. Every day. So
Thank
for
you.
you to
Thank
sit
you,
here
Mike.
and say
Thank you.
that we do not focus on teaching and we talk about these things are being new, we talk about teaching all the time.
Thank you,
I
Mike.
have staff here in front of you who deserve more respect than to be constantly told that they are failing by you. It is not true and it is disingenuous.
I don't think that that's what I'm saying.
It is what you say consistently.
And the people that you have here come to present. They just present a presentation. They don't really tell us the issues they have in their classrooms, the things that are making their job difficult. That's not ever what they do. They just put on a big smiley face. The reading data, you have pushed back on that. The first time I brought it up, you said you didn't believe it. It's the forward exam data. And I would think that one of the first things in order to get past this is you have to acknowledge that we can't read here.
Mary,
40%.
I'm not going to acknowledge
and
it,
you
it's
keep
not
saying
accurate.
it's not an issue. How are we ever going to solve something that you don't think that's not an issue?
Can we get better? Yes. So tomorrow, you can expect an email from me on the percentage of students that met benchmark on the forward for the last 10 years. And as I've always stated, if you want to talk about what we are doing for instruction,
I
my
just
door
put
is
it up here
always-
last
my-
July.
My door is always open.
It was up here on last July. Everybody read it. Everybody saw 11%, 40%. Everybody saw it. Page 4. It was up here on the screen. That's why I did it, so it's on video. So it's so I'm not just sitting here referring to a document. You don't know what I'm talking about. We put it on the screen.
But
That's
Mary,
what
you're
we
not
need to
interested in-
address.
You're not interested in solutions.
Oh, very much so. It
clearly
troubles
are not.
me
We
greatly that
bring
you can't read here.
MTSS and all the different things and experts in reading that come up here and they talk about the things that are happening.
And they
all
can't
you
read.
want to talk about is the fact that you think we're failing. That's all you talk about. What is your suggestion? What is your solution? Because I have yet to hear one.
I do, well,
Besides the fact that you said you were a teacher and that we don't apparently know what we're doing, so please advise us as to what we should do.
What I don't have from the teachers is what it is in their classroom that they are seeing that prevents them from doing what they want to do. I had asked a question when the surveys were going out. How much time does a teacher have to teach, and how much time does a teacher put to things that are not teaching related? That was a survey question I suggested you put on there, on the survey you had for the teachers. Those kind of things. I don't think these people are stupid. What I hear when they come in here is a whole lot of stuff that they do that has nothing to do with teaching. They're meeting here, they're having days off here, and they're having all sorts of things go on in their classroom that have nothing to do with teaching. And I thought we should maybe look at that, because teaching is not hard. It takes a great deal of patience, and mostly it takes time. And what I always hear from these folks, the fact that you even have them come in here bothers me, because time is the limiting resource, and you're taking it away by having them come and present here. They have to be able to have that time to do what they need to do with their kids. But if their kids are being constantly told to move here, move here, move here, when I was a teacher, the most thing that concerned me in the classroom was when extracurriculars would come into my classroom and they would say, we need the students to be here. We need to cut your time short here. We need to cut your time short here. We need you to be in meetings. And what I hear from you guys is a ton of meetings discussing how you're going to do it. You don't need to discuss it. You just need to do it. You sit down with little Johnny or little Sammy, and you're sitting there and you're tutoring. That's step 3 and step 4. But you can't possibly do step 3 and step 4 if you as a teacher are committed to having to do so many other things administratively that look good on paper, but don't actually teach. So my suggestion is, as it always has been, Mike, which is to look into the classroom. Why is it? This is somewhat of an anomaly. Prior to public education getting the foothold that it had, we had people who could read at very high levels in this country as a regular thing. That is dropped this far. I would like to see a serious example. What is it that they're doing in those classrooms? How much time do they really have to teach? And how much time are they spending filling out forms, and the testing? You constantly test them. That was the other thing that was a little troubling to me. When I'm teaching and I've got 4 days of a quarter that I don't have anymore because they're being tested. These are the most precious things a teacher has, is what they own as their intellectual ability and the time with the students. So I would look there.
But maybe
Thank you
I'm
so
wrong,
much, Mike.
But isn't testing a barometer for
No, because when I'm a
progress that's being
teacher,
made?
I already know every single student what they can do. The testing is for them to know what they can do.
So
If I'm a teacher, I already know that it's Jack who can't do this.
Can I get a moment?
It's Peter who can't do that. I know where all the weaknesses are in my room. The testing is for the public. And the other testing that is somewhat useful is for the student to know that they've actually mastered the material. It is never for the teacher. Because as I'm a teacher, I'm talking to them all day long. I know where their heads are at.
So my
I know
suggestion,
exactly what
Mary-
they're missing.
Mary, I think you need to go on the learning walks and go and see in the classrooms
Yes.
what they're doing, because the things
I
that
am a
the
techer.
Excuse me.
You folks are not teachers.
I understand
I have been
that,
a teacher
Mary,
for
but
10,
I'm telling
15 years.
you,
There's
with what
nothing
the
you're going to
teachers
show me in
come
those
here and they
classrooms.
present
That-
to us.
that is the
I've
most
gone in the
preposterous
classrooms for
thing you have
myself,
suggested.
And I have seen them teach the same things that they're coming here and presenting to us.
And how long ago was it that you last taught, Mary? Teaching as
If you
an
know how to teach,
institution
you know how to
has changed.
teach for
But
life.
the landscape has
It's
changed.
not.
No.
The landscape
It is
has
not. No, you don't. This. I mean, I would
My
never
suggestion
come
would
to
be
you
go
and
in
tell
the
you about
classroom
your.
and see it for yourself. If
I would
you
never
have
come to you and
concerns,
tell you about
go
how to
in
be
the
a nurse.
classroom and see.
I've been in a classroom. I have stood in front of students.
Okay, I'm going to
concerns
ask
about
for a
our
motion
classroom.
to end this
If you have not
discussion
stood in front of a
because
classroom,
I feel
you
it has
can't even
become
get the idea of
negative.
it because you haven't done it. But to tell a teacher to find out how the teaching is going in another classroom, it's like telling a nurse to go and find out how nursing is done. You don't even acknowledge that there's a body of tools that those people have that is innate to them. There's something about a teaching skill They have it.
And nobody is negating that, but I'm saying that you
I have
concerns
it. You're
about
telling a
these
teacher
things,
to go and watch teachers.
But you have concerns. I'm hearing you say I have concerns about what's going on
Thank
in
you
the
very
classroom.
much.
Go and witness it for yourself.
I can see what it is.
And another thing,
We've
Mary.
got 40% who can't read. How much more do you need to see?
Mary, for all the times that you complain about our reading scores, how many times have you sat down with Anthony? Because I have. He's a wealth of information.
I
and
think
he's
Anthony
never
knows how to
denied
read.
me time to explain
Hold on,
what's
hold
going
on.
on with our
Anthony,
scores.
don't you know how to read?
But that's not giving solutions.
I would be, I sit down with
sort of
students, I
solution
could tutor them, happy to do that. I wouldn't need
Okay,
this tutor,
this has
Anthony.
gone negative. I am now asking a board member to give me a motion to shut down this discussion. This is no longer productive, this is
I
negative.
thought you were trying to encourage discussion. You spend hours talking to us all the time about how these board members
But
need
this
to
has
speak up.
nothing to do with the assessment calendar.
No, it's
That's the
now
agenda
turned
item.
into negative bashing. I'd like a motion
But
to
thank
end
you.
this
I found it
discussion.
very, I found it very helpful, so thank
All
you.
further discussions on this?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Anthony.
Are there other questions related to the strategic plan?
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Moving right along to personnel issues, we have, thank you, girls. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
Good night, girls. Good job with your presentation.
Our personnel report, it looks like there are no resignations, no employments, no
Nope,
requests for
nope.
leave?
None tonight.
All right, wonderful. Review of upcoming activities. Thursday, October 2nd is our WASB Fall Regional Meeting and Workshops. I always say it's a great opportunity to learn more about being a board member and legal issues that affect us as a board. And we're also voting on
Yes, so
Larry.
the Pewaukee School Board will get one vote for the Region 15 Director. I am one of the candidates for that, and also a lady from Cedarburg. Like on her name right now into the stuff, but she's a potential candidate as well. So there's two candidates for Region 15, and we hold a meeting with Region 11 at the Sheraton Hotel in Brookfield. So
Yes.
would appreciate it if we could have one vote coming out, and if it happens to be for me, that'd be great. So.
All right. The following day is homecoming, and we have the parade. And as of right now, I think I'm correct in saying that Larry, Stacy, Ashley, and myself are the four.
I can't go.
You can't.
Unfortunately,
So
I'll
there's
be there
three.
this year.
And also
Travis.
Travis. Okay, thank you. So I think it's okay to bring this up. We are making a safety change this year. We always want to keep kids safe. And you know how they love to run out from the curb and gather candy. And one of the safety changes that we're making this year is that we won't be throwing candy from the floats or from the carts. We could have one person drive with all the candy on the cart, and the rest of us will walk
Oh, okay.
and distribute candy. We would never want a child to get injured in the course of handing out candy. So just
That'll
wanted
be
to
for
mention.
Yeah,
all the-
so,
Yeah, all the
yeah, I
floats,
communicated
yes.
to the high school leadership and Nadine Sevens, who runs the parade, and she's communicated out that there'll be no throwing candy from floats, that we'll do walkers along the side distributing candy, because it's so many kids, and then they start inevitably running out in the street, pushing towards things, and as soon as if someone doesn't see it and some kid gets hurt, I think we have to be more proactive with that. So we have an awesome homecoming parade. The turnout is always incredible, but there's just an opportunity there so I felt that this was necessary.
Yes, I think it's a positive change. Besides that, we have upcoming board meetings on Monday, October 13th, along with Business Affairs. Monday, October 27th, that's strictly just a regular board meeting. November 11th is Business Affairs, along with regular board meeting, and the 24th is Policy, along with regular board meeting. Next up is legislative advocacy discussion.
Yeah, I mean, a few things. The biggest thing that we've talked about lately is rehired annuitant bill is out there, which would help district like us in particular with hard to hire positions like special education, maybe a physics teacher or something like that, often very difficult to staff. Rehired annuitant bill would make it easier to bring retirees back in, to hire them to assume those positions. So I've reached out to Senator Hutton and to Representative Nalen. I've had some email correspondence with Senator Hutton's office. He's undecided on that bill, but that's one that's of significance that's out there right now. John, other things?
Just couple of packages of bills that have been discussed, that are still floating around out there that we're just monitoring to see if they get sponsorship and, what that could mean in a session coming up.
I think there's pieces we talked about with health insurance and pharmaceutical pieces that we've advocated about to support our ability to help manage our healthcare costs that I think I communicated to this board about previously. So that's kind of what we've been looking at.
Awesome, thank you. Board and superintendent goals. We recently, last Monday night, in fact, had our goals committee meeting. I want to thank everyone that attended. Discussion was great. We are working, two of our goals will be holdovers with some little tweaks. And we have at least two new goals that we're looking at implementing. Larry and I are working together on those. Once we get a draft, we'll sit down with Mike and go through those goals, and then we'll bring them to the board, hopefully at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, after Monday, I had a kind of a busy week last week. Yes, I am sort of retired, but I still do a lot of other stuff. And so I did get a chance to kind of like go through my notes and the flip chart stuff that I had, but I think one of them I've got pretty well nailed relative to the behavioral things that were there, behavioral in school and on buses kinds of things, so that's good. And then some of the things related to the literacy and the math, I need to kind of get those firmed up as well, so.
And then we'll sit down with Mike.
Yeah.
And then bring them to the board. Next up, speaking of learning walks, it's that time of year again where the schedule was put out for learning walks. We have changed it a little bit this year in that there are 2 learning walks per school this year. The calendar is out there where you can sign up, and I know individuals have already put their names out there. It is valuable. I know that there was a time I was at Learning Walk at PLE and I had some questions. Mike did not hesitate to take me right to that area and to pursue answers to my questions. So I do appreciate that. And it also is about, we do hear these teachers and students come and present to us, and it's very meaningful when you actually go to the school and can see those learning tactics in process and that they're using them. It's more meaningful when you can see them in practice. So I really want to encourage you to just consider doing learning walks. I know it's tough, it's during the day if you're working, but yeah, if you can even make a couple, I think it's a meaningful.
We have 8 of them this year scheduled for the board, which would allow for up to 2 visits per building. So hopefully that allows you the opportunity to try to see some of our different environments.
Yeah.
The one thing which I find valuable with it too is really that you pair up with someone else, so it's not like you're there walking through on your own. You pair up with an administrator and you get a chance to ask questions and observe what's going on. Definitely observe what's going on with the teacher and or an aide if they're in the classroom, but also the students. And you kind of get to see how the interaction is going and what things are working in terms of how they're carrying out their instruction in the classroom, and you know how the kids are working together. In some cases they might be working at a table together, and sometimes they're working solo, if you will, or alone as well. So it's really good to do that pair up, and you really get a chance to see the things that are there. And then there's a debrief at the end of it, which is always helpful too, because it's like then everybody sits around and kind of shares what they saw and observed. So it's a structured process in terms of being able to capture some key ideas and any things that are there from, I guess, what do you want to call it? Maybe an assessment of what's going on or any feedback in terms of for the building principals as well, so.
Very meaningful. Thank you, Larry. With that, I have to ask any citizen comments, Tammy?
There's nobody here. They all left.
Then with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.